Hi YouTube, something a little bit different for you this time. Not unboxing, as you can see, no box here. Instead, I'm going to show you something I have made, which does occasionally happen. So, this is the Revell kit of the Ford F-150 Ranger Pickup. Now, I was a bit confused about this. I'm not really familiar with these US pickups, to be quite honest with you. And I thought the Ranger was a different series of pickups to the F-150. It's certainly a different series now. However, apparently, when they first created the Ranger model, it was F-150 based. So it's a full-size pickup rather than the smaller Ranger that we've come to know or be familiar with since then. That's as I understand it. If anybody out there in YouTube land knows better than that, please put me right. So this kit, what can I say about it? Well, I'm fairly happy with it, how it turned out, although it's not perfect. The kit isn't perfect and my build of it isn't perfect. First of all, I decided to seal the hood shut and make it a curbside kit, so no engine detail. The reason for that, although it did come with a Ford V8 engine, there's not that much detail in the engine bay. The firewall, for example, or bulkhead is incomplete. One or two bits and bobs like that. I also wasn't happy with the way the hood fitted if it's left loose to be removed. So I decided to seal it closed and make it fit as well as it could. So curbside kit, this one. What do I like about the kit? I like the chrome. I think the chrome work is really nice. The mirrors, the side mirrors, are a little bit bulky, rather thickly moulded. That's not really unusual, to be honest with you, on a plastic kit, especially one which has been around for a few years, which this one has. So that's forgivable. I just gave them a wash over with some black oil paint to sort of reduce the obvious thickness of those side arms, but they're still too thick. I really like the grille. It's recommended, I would say, to paint the grille apertures in black, which I did. Or I might even have used a Sharpie. I think I did use a Sharpie, yeah, black Sharpie, which was easier. Or did I use paint? I can't remember what I did, actually. But anyway, they benefit from being black, I think. Otherwise, you'd end up with lots of chrome reflecting back at you, which wouldn't really look like the real truck grille. The chrome bumper, I think, is nice. Yeah, that's all really nice. The wheels and tyres I like as well. I think the thing missing from the tyres is any sidewall detail. They're really crying out for some white letter tyres, a BF Goodrich or Goodyear lettering on there. I know the manufacturers don't do that these days, I think for licensing reasons, but if it would be possible to add them, I think it would look much better. What else do I like about it? Yeah, I mean, the kit generally, I think it's a nice model. It's nice subject matter. Anybody who grew up when I did, you'd be familiar with programs on the TV like The Fall Guy, which meant that me and my friends, when we were 6 or 7 years old, were all big fans of US pickup trucks, which is a little bit strange for a lot of kids growing up in England. But this was exactly the sort of thing that used to get us excited back then, and I suppose that stayed with me now. Still like to see this kind of thing. I like the interior. It's quite straightforward and simple. I chose to paint it a dark sort of plum red. I wasn't basing that on any specific research I did other than a quick Google image search, but it looks about right to me for a 1980s US interior. I also chose metallic silver on the outside, which is not a really unusual choice, I guess, for this. I chose it mainly because I thought the black side trim decals would stand out well against the silver, which they do. I didn't give it the best paint job in the world, sadly, so it's fairly good. It's a bit patchy in places. Some areas are not too well covered, which is unfortunate. Also, I chose to undercoat it with red oxide primer, which turns out not to have been a great choice because I found it quite difficult to cover. But I put the decals on then and then hit the entire thing with several coats of clear lacquer just to bed them in, which seems to have worked pretty well. There's the odd place here and there where you can see the decal has broken away on a corner or raised surface, which isn't ideal. But I got to a point where I thought, hey, it's going to be all right. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be okay. There we go. Not an incredibly highly detailed kit, but one that I think builds up quite nicely, really. Nice subject matter. And also just nice to have something from that era, the 1980s, which doesn't really seem to be in fashion with real vehicle owners or with kit builders at the moment. So nice to have something from an era rather than the 1950s or 60s, which seems to be, much more popular. There we go. That's Revell's Ford F-150 Ranger kit. I recommend having one in the stash, something to play with. I think there's a lot of scope, a lot of things you could do with it. You can extend the chassis, put a flatbed on it, although it's only single rear wheel, so it wouldn't be up for carrying any great amount of weight. But you could do that. You could make some sort of standard bed for it, or you could turn this into a more dedicated kind of off-road vehicle. You could turn it into somebody's fishing truck. Yeah, all sorts of things I think you could do with it. I made mine just factory stock, straight from the showroom, but I think you could have a lot of fun with it with a bit of imagination. There we go. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching.